to be discussing ways to cut without actually cutting. Now in film, a cut is when you juxtaposition one shot to another. We're going to go over 3 ways to do that. First, the concept cut from Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. Second, have the audience do the cutting for you from a couple movies, Shawn of the Dead, Pilgrim vs. the World, and Back to the Future. And third, have the characters do the movement as if it's a cut from one of my favorite shots from E.T. Now, one thing that cutting can do is to give them distinct thoughts to read from the film. Now, what they do in Spider-Verse is quite awesome. There's this shot. It's what's happening right now is Miles has been bitten by a spider, and he's going back into the subway system to look at to find the spider and to investigate. And when he does this, he looks down at the subway tracks that he's about to climb down onto, and we cut to what he's looking at. We think it's a reaction shot of what he's looking at, and then the camera pushes forward a little bit and tilts up. So now we're not thinking it's that shot, the what he's looking at shot. We're thinking it's his POV because it feels like his POV, and it tilts up and it looks up. And as it looks up, it continues to move, and then we see that Miles is at the other end of the tunnel. And it's not actually that shot either. It's not a POV shot of Miles. It's now we're looking at him down the tunnel. And so what's been doing this whole time is we've been thinking it's one shot, but it's actually a different shot, and then it's actually a different shot. So conceptually, there are 3 different shots in this moment, but it's really just in one continuous take. The benefit to doing it this way is that Miles is doing this cautiously. He's moving slowly forward, and that fits what he's feeling, and that's great and all. But the audience the director doesn't want to slow down the audience, and doesn't want to slow them down to being boring and not feeling like there's energy going on. So he gives them thoughts to think that are quickly one right after the other. Idea is that he moves the Miles quickly from one platform all the way deep down into the tunnel. Now, if blinking is the equivalent of cutting in real life, how can a director harness that to create a cut by having the audience blink for him? Now, let's take a look at Edgar Wright and his famous quick pan from one shot to another in both Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and in Shaun of the Dead.
Would anyone like a peanut?
What? She's totally real. Who? Ramona Flowers. What? Dude, what do you know about Ramona Flowers?
And we're also moving our heads quickly from one thing to the other. We naturally blink, probably to prevent us from getting nauseous from the blur of motion. And so what happens in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is he utilizes that, forces us to blink between the cut, go from one shot to the other without noticing. Now in Back to the Future, there's a shot where I found myself blinking. It's a moment where Marty McFly is getting ready to play his guitar on the big amps in Doc's house. And it's at the very beginning of the film. And we're close up on looking at one of the dials, and then we pan and move over to another dial. And I found myself blinking, but to look as we were moving between these 2 moments. And what it also did is it zoomed in on that, so that it looked like it was close up and then an extreme close up. When that did is it added an extra tension and anxiety about the volumes going up and up and up and up and up. And it made it feel like it was more immediate by zooming in more. And what this did is it did a couple things. It might have saved you an extra setup depending on how you were shooting things, but what it also did is it made things feel like they were spatially connected. Now what a cut can do for you is it can also create drastic different angles happening quickly one after the other. You can go from a wide to a close-up real fast, instantaneously nearly. And what you can also do is go from a close-up of one person to a close-up of another. That also works. But instead of moving the camera and changing complete setups, you could move the characters to create a moment that is just like that. And let's break down how Spielberg does it in the movie E.T. So what's going on in E.T. in this moment is Elliot and E.T. have had this connection, a physical and emotional connection throughout the film. And right now, E.T. is dying. He's fading fast, and the doctors are trying to see to him, and Elliot is being disconnected from E.T. There's this separation between them.
Creature's pressure is bottoming out. His complexes are slow and widening. How's the boy?
He's converting back to normal sinus rhythm.
They're separating.
Yes,
Boy
definitely
and creature are
separating.
separated.
And what happens is Elliot yells in the shot. It's a close-up on Elliot, and he yells, "E.T., don't go!" And as he yells, it immediately shows the difference between them. E.T.'s dying, Elliot's yelling in strength, he's getting stronger. And then what happens? The doctors from the sides comes in and blocks the space between E.T. and Elliot. And so what happens here is he creates a cut from a close-up to a close-up by moving the characters in from the sides, which would be completely unnatural and not really something you would expect to see, because normally the characters would be there already, or the camera wouldn't be there, so they didn't need to move that way. But he created this moment, and the audience doesn't care. They don't pull up any fuss, and the shot works anyway. And what it does is it adds this extra meaning to it. It really emphasizes that now there's this physical separation between E.T. and Elliot that he's hinted at throughout this moment. So that's another way that you can cut without cutting, is by moving the characters. Now thanks for watching on how to cut without actually cutting. Now hit the like and subscribe button and notifications. We're going to get you thinking like a director and having a lot of fun watching and going over film.